There comes a moment in a woman's life, usually sometime after 40, sometimes earlier, sometimes later, when she begins to feel a shift inside herself that she can't quite name. It's subtle at first, a little more irritation than usual, a night of sleep that feels strangely light, a wave of heat that comes out of nowhere, a sense of something is different, even if everything around you looks exactly the same. Most women don't talk about this part. Most weren't prepared for it. Most grew up hearing the word menopause, whispered like something distant, something for much older women, something you wouldn't have to think about until someday far away. But then one day, someday becomes today. And it doesn't feel dramatic. It doesn't feel obvious. It doesn't start with a big announcement from your body. It starts quietly, almost innocently. A moment of forgetting a word, a flash of frustration over something tiny. A strange heaviness that comes over you at 3 p.m. for no reason. A sudden need for space, silence, or solitude. A realization that your body isn't responding the way it used to, even though you haven't changed anything. And without warning, you find yourself asking a question you weren't expecting yet. Is this menopause? What makes menopause so confusing, and honestly, so lonely, is that no one really explained what it would feel like. Not the emotional part, not the identity part, not the invisible internal shift that makes you feel like you're living in a body and mind you're suddenly trying to understand again. You might feel like you're losing your calm. You might feel unlike yourself. You might feel overstimulated, irritated, or fragile in ways that surprise you. You might wonder why your skin feels different, or why you're awake at 3 a.m. again, or why your emotions seem bigger, sharper, or closer to the surface than they used to be. And maybe the hardest part? You don't quite know how to explain it to anyone, not even to yourself. This video, this calm, gentle, honest conversation, is here to give you something that most women never receive: a moment of understanding, a moment of clarity, a moment of companionship through the part of life that feels confusing but is actually one of the most natural human transitions you will ever experience. Menopause is not the beginning of the end. It's the beginning of your becoming. It's the moment life invites you to come home to yourself, to a deeper, wiser, sharper, somehow softer version of you that you haven't met yet. So take a breath, get comfortable. Let this feel like sitting with a friend who gets it, who's been there, who understands the unspoken parts, who sees the strength behind everything you're carrying. Because you're not going through this alone. You're not losing it. You're not breaking. You're shifting. And that shift carries its own kind of power, clarity, and rebirth. Today, we're going to talk about what menopause actually feels like, the real experience, the emotional parts, the physical surprises, the identity changes, and the powerful transformation waiting on the other side. Welcome. You're exactly where you need to be. It usually begins in moments so small you almost brush them off. A forgotten detail, a sudden wave of heat, a feeling of being strangely overwhelmed in situations you used to handle effortlessly. You tell yourself it's stress. You tell yourself you're tired. You tell yourself it's just one of those days. But slowly, quietly, you start to notice a pattern. Something is shifting, and it's not just in your body. It's in your emotions, your patience, your sense of self. For many women, the earliest signs of menopause feel more emotional than physical. You might find yourself snapping at things you would normally let slide, or crying at commercials you would have barely noticed a few years ago. You might feel overstimulated by noise, or suddenly crave silence in a way that surprises you. You might have moments of deep frustration and then feel guilty for reacting so strongly. And the confusion begins because you're thinking, why am I like this lately? Why does everything feel heavier? Is it stress, hormones, work, life? But deep down, there's a whisper you're trying not to hear. Something is changing. It's the moment you wake up drenched in sweat, unsure if it was a dream or your body trying to tell you something. It's the moment you stand in the kitchen wondering why you walked in there, not just once, but 3 times in the same week. It's the moment you're sitting with your partner, your friends, your kids, and suddenly feel detached, like you're watching your own life instead of living it. And because no one warned you about this emotional disorientation, you start questioning yourself. Am I overreacting? Am I becoming dramatic? Why do I feel unlike myself? But here's the truth, a truth millions of women wish they'd heard sooner. You're not imagining it. You're not unstable. You're not too emotional. You're not losing your mind. This is menopause, but not the version that gets talked about on pamphlets or in biology class. This is the real, lived experience of the internal shift. And one of the hardest parts is how invisible it feels. You could be sitting at work having a perfectly normal conversation when suddenly a wave of heat climbs up your chest. No one sees it. No one knows your pulse is racing. No one knows you're silently wondering what is happening to your body. You could be laughing with a friend and then, 5 minutes later, feel an unexpected wave of sadness wash over you. You could be going through your day just fine and suddenly feel overstimulated by everything. The lights, the noise, the responsibilities, the endless mental load. It's like your body and emotions are rewriting themselves, one tiny shift at a time. But what makes this chapter so uniquely tender is the loneliness of it. You don't know who to talk to. You don't want to sound dramatic. You don't want to worry your partner or your kids. You don't want to be dismissed with, oh, it's just hormones, even though deep inside, you know it's something more. Menopause doesn't arrive like a knock on the door. It arrives like a shadow, appearing, disappearing, returning, shifting shapes, until you finally turn toward it and say, okay, I see you. And that's the moment everything changes. Not because symptoms disappear, but because you stop feeling confused and start feeling aware. You begin to understand that you're not broken. You're transitioning. You're stepping into a new phase of womanhood that is confusing, yes, but also profound. This chapter of menopause is not about loss. It's about recognition. It's about the very first whisper that something is changing, and the beginning of understanding that this change is not something to fear, but something to walk through with compassion for yourself. You're not alone. You're not imagining it. And you're not the only one who has ever whispered, "Is it me?" No, it's menopause. And you're stronger than you think. One of the hardest parts of menopause isn't even the physical symptoms. It's the emotional confusion that comes with it. And most women don't talk about it, not because it's shameful, but because it's hard to explain. How do you put into words the way your mood can swing so suddenly? How do you describe feeling irritated by the smallest things? And then guilty for being irritated? And then exhausted because the emotional spiral took all of your energy for the day. There are days you wake up already on edge for no reason. Days where you're overstimulated by the sound of your own thoughts. Days where the smallest inconvenience makes your whole body tense. Days where you feel like crying and you can't pinpoint why. And that's the part that scares so many women, the why that never seems to have an answer. Some mornings you feel perfectly fine, light, calm, yourself. And then by lunchtime, you're overwhelmed, frustrated, or suddenly sad. It's like your emotions no longer follow the rules you spent your entire life learning to manage. You've always known how to hold things together, how to push through, how to stay strong, even when no one noticed you were struggling. But now, the old emotional tools don't work the same way. And that's where the fear creeps in. Is it me? Am I losing control? Why am I so sensitive all of a sudden? Why do I feel everything so intensely, or sometimes not at all? But here's the truth no one tells you. Your emotions aren't betraying you. They're reacting to a massive hormonal shift happening inside your body. You're not unstable. You're not dramatic. You're not too much. You're a woman whose internal chemistry is rewriting itself, and your emotions are simply trying to catch up. And even though it feels isolating, it's one of the most universally shared parts of menopause. Women everywhere, in the US, in Canada, in the UK, all say the same thing when they finally open up about it. I don't feel like myself. Menopause has a way of pulling forward old emotions you never processed, current stresses you never voiced, and new sensitivities you didn't see coming. It doesn't ask permission, it just arrives. And yet, within the chaos, there is something strangely honest about this emotional season. You begin to notice the feelings you spent years pushing aside. You become aware of what overstimulates you, what drains you, what no longer fits into the life you're living. You see what you've tolerated for years, in relationships, in work, in your routines. And suddenly, the emotional bandwidth you once had for those things simply isn't there anymore. Your emotions aren't breaking you. They're revealing you. And while the roller coaster can feel terrifying, it is also guiding you back to yourself. It forces you to slow down, to listen, to feel, to acknowledge, to accept. It pushes you to find support, to develop gentler routines, to be kinder to yourself than you've ever been before. You're not going crazy. You're not too emotional. You're transitioning, and you deserve tenderness during the process. There comes a moment, sometimes sudden, sometimes subtle, when you look at your reflection and think, when did I become someone I don't recognize? Not in a dramatic way, not in a negative way, but in a deeply human way. Because menopause doesn't just happen in your mind, it happens in your body. And your body, without warning, begins speaking a different language. Maybe it starts with weight changes that don't make sense. You're eating the same way, moving the same way, caring for yourself the same way. But your body responds completely differently. Where it once cooperated, it now resists. The scale shifts. Your clothes fit differently. Your midsection softens. And no matter how much logic you apply, it still feels personal. Or maybe it begins with sleep. One night you're fine, the next night you're wide awake at 3 a.m. for no reason at all. Your mind quiet, your body alert, your spirit exhausted. You toss, you turn, you flip the pillow to the cool side. You check the time and think, if I fall asleep now, I can still get 4 hours. Only to watch the minutes slide by while your body insists on staying awake. Then come the hot flashes, those sudden, intense waves that feel like someone turned up the thermostat inside your skin. You go from comfortable to overheating in seconds. You feel the rush in your cheeks, your chest, your back, your scalp. Sometimes you have to step outside. Sometimes you strip off layers. Sometimes you stand in front of the fridge just for relief. And even though they pass quickly, They shake your confidence in your own body's predictability. There's also the fatigue, not regular tiredness, but a deep, bone-heavy exhaustion that makes even small tasks feel overwhelming. One day you're completely fine, and the next day you feel like you've run a marathon in your sleep. Your energy becomes inconsistent, like a battery that charges and drains at unpredictable times. Your skin changes, your hair changes, your libido fluctuates, your stress tolerance drops dramatically. You feel things more intensely, physically, and emotionally. And through all of this, you might silently think, what is happening to me? But here's the truth you need to hear. Gently, lovingly, clearly. Your body is not failing you. Your body is shifting. Your body is transitioning into a new phase of womanhood. You are not doing anything wrong. You are not lazy. You are not undisciplined. You are not letting yourself go. You are moving through a transformation that every woman experiences in her own time, in her own way, with her own timeline. And even in the discomfort, there is a quiet kind of wisdom emerging. Your body is teaching you things you never paid attention to before. What nourishes you, what drains you, what rhythms feel natural, what routines no longer serve you. It's asking you to rest more, to slow down, to soften, to listen, to care for yourself with the same compassion you've given everyone else for decades. It's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to feel confused. It's okay to miss the body you had. But it's also okay to grow into this new one, gently, bit by bit, with curiosity instead of judgment. You're not losing yourself. You're learning yourself again in a deeper, wiser way. There's a part of menopause that no one talks about enough. The part that doesn't live in your hormones or your symptoms, but in your sense of self. Because as your body changes, so does everything around you. And the strangest, most disorienting part? It's not the hot flashes or the brain fog or the sleep that suddenly betrays you. It's the way your identity starts to shift in ways you never expected. For many women, menopause arrives at the exact same time as a dozen other life transitions. Your kids might be grown or growing away from you emotionally. Maybe the house that used to feel too loud is suddenly too quiet. You walk past their old bedroom and feel a strange ache, a mix of sadness, relief, pride, confusion. You're still a mother, but the role feels different now, less needed in the ways it once was. It's the beginning of a new version of motherhood no one really prepares you for. At the same time, your career might feel like it's changing too. Not because you're less capable, in fact, you're wiser than ever, but because your priorities are shifting. What used to feel important doesn't anymore. You may find yourself questioning your path, your purpose, your next step. You might catch yourself thinking, is this still who I am? Is this still what I want? And that can feel unsettling, but it's also a sign of growth, not decline. Relationships change too, sometimes in ways that surprise you. You may look at your partner and feel a distance you can't quite name. Or you might feel closer than ever because you're finally beginning to voice what you really want. Friendships shift. Some get deeper, richer. Others fade because you no longer have the energy for surface-level connections or for people who expect you to stay the same while you're evolving. And then there's the quiet, private part. The part where you sometimes feel invisible. You walk into a room and notice people don't look at you the way they used to. You're not the youngest anymore. not the one with the smoothest skin or the smallest waist or the sparkliest energy. And even if you don't want to admit it, it stings. It's not vanity, it's human. But here's what no one tells you. At the very same time you start feeling invisible to the world, you begin to feel deeply visible to yourself. You start noticing your own needs with clarity. You start hearing your own voice again after years, maybe decades, of drowning it out with responsibilities. You start choosing differently. You start choosing you. There is a power in midlife that younger women don't have yet. A groundedness, a knowing, a sense of enough. You don't tolerate disrespect. You don't chase validation. You don't lose sleep over things that once kept you up. You begin to see your worth in a fuller, deeper way. And even if you feel lost sometimes, even if you feel in between versions of yourself, you are evolving into a woman who is more aligned than she has ever been. Menopause is not just hormonal transition, it's identity transition. It is the quiet unraveling of who you used to be and the slow, beautiful emergence of who you're becoming. If the earlier chapters of menopause feel like unraveling, this chapter feels like remembering parts of yourself you forgot, abandoned, or sacrificed along the way. Because as the fog lifts, something surprising begins to happen. You start to feel a new kind of clarity, a new kind of confidence, a new kind of strength you didn't have in your 20s, your 30s, or even your early 40s. It's subtle at first. Maybe you wake up one morning and the worry that used to consume you suddenly feels smaller. Or you say no to something out of instinct, not apology. Or you realize you no longer care about impressing people who never made space for your real self. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's quiet, like an internal tide shifting. This stage of life brings a surprising peace with it, a peace that comes from knowing yourself more deeply than ever before. You stop wasting time on things that drain you. You stop tolerating behavior that used to leave you exhausted. You stop abandoning yourself to meet expectations that never fit you anyway. It's like your soul finally steps forward and says, "I'm here now. Let's do this my way." Women in menopause often describe this as an inner rebirth, not a second youth, something better, something truer, something steadier. You're not trying to find yourself. You're reclaiming yourself. You begin setting boundaries you couldn't set before. You speak up more. You apologize less. You say what you mean and mean what you say. You protect your energy like it's sacred because it is. You realize your time is finite, your peace is precious, and your body is not an enemy. It's a compass. It's guiding you toward a slower, softer, more aligned version of life. And here's the part almost no one talks about. There is a power in menopause that is ancient, a wisdom, a knowing, a deep sense that you have lived enough life to trust yourself fully now. Your tolerance for nonsense becomes zero. Your intuition becomes sharp. Your self-respect becomes non-negotiable. Your boundaries become clear. Your voice becomes steady. And your desires, the real ones, not the ones society gave you, begin to rise to the surface. Maybe you want new adventures. Maybe you want a simpler life. Maybe you want more joy. Maybe you want a new career or new hobbies or a new kind of love or the freedom of not having to answer to anyone at all. This chapter of menopause isn't about loss. It's about liberation. You are becoming a woman who chooses intentionally, a woman who knows her worth, a woman who honors her body instead of criticizing it, a woman who doesn't fear aging because she finally sees the beauty in growing into herself. This isn't the end of anything. This is the beginning of your most authentic chapter, a chapter built on truth, courage, softness, and strength. Menopause is not a collapse, it is a rebirth. Before we close this conversation, I want you to take a slow, deep breath. Because everything you've just heard, everything you've recognized, everything you've quietly whispered, yes, this is me, too, is proof of something incredibly important. You're not losing yourself. You're meeting yourself again. Menopause isn't the unraveling people make it sound like. It's the unlayering. For years, decades even, you've carried roles, expectations, identities, responsibilities that shaped you, defined you, and in many ways confined you. And menopause, with all its chaos and confusion, becomes the moment when your body and your soul finally say, "It's time." Time to release what no longer fits. Time to stop running on survival mode. Time to stop abandoning yourself. Time to come home. And yes, it's messy. Yes, it's emotional. Yes, there are days you wake up and think, "Who am I now?" Yes, there are nights you lie awake, sweating, overthinking, questioning if you're unraveling. But here's the truth that almost no one says out loud. You're not unraveling. You're transforming. You're shedding a version of yourself that was built around everyone else's needs. You're stepping out of the identity that demanded you be everything for everyone. You're letting go of the parts of yourself you held together with exhaustion, willpower, and obligation. And what's emerging is the real you. The you who no longer tolerates disrespect. The you who isn't afraid to say no. The you who wants peace instead of perfection. The you who knows what she likes, what she wants, what she needs. The you who isn't here to prove anything anymore. Menopause is not the end of youth. It's the end of pretending. It's the end of shrinking. It's the end of self-erasure. It's the end of minimizing your struggles or apologizing for your needs. And in its place, something beautiful grows. A woman who is rooted. A woman who is wise. A woman who is done performing. A woman who feels everything more deeply, including her own worth. You may feel unsteady right now. You may feel emotional. You may feel tired or overwhelmed or confused. But none of those feelings mean you're broken. They mean you're shifting. They mean you're awakening. They mean you're stepping into a chapter where your life finally becomes about you. And if you felt alone through this, please hear me. You're not alone. Millions of women are walking through this same season, silently, privately, thinking they're the only ones struggling. You are part of a global sisterhood, wiser, softer, stronger, braver than you've ever been. This chapter of your life isn't something to endure, it's something to honor. Because on the other side of the emotional waves, the hot flashes, the sleepless nights, the questioning, the shedding, the rebuilding, you find a version of yourself who feels like truth. A woman who is clear, a woman who is steady, a woman who is free from the old rules, a woman who has nothing left to prove. So as we close this video, I want you to hold on to this. You are not disappearing. You are emerging. You are not becoming less. You are becoming concentrated, distilled into your most honest self. Your body is not betraying you. It is guiding you toward a life that fits the woman you are now. Your emotions are not instability. They are information. Your exhaustion isn't weakness. It's wisdom asking you to slow down. This is not the end. This is not even the beginning of the end. This is the beginning of you, the woman you were always meant to grow into, and you don't have to walk this alone. I'm here with you. This community is here with you. Every woman listening is walking beside you. Welcome to the chapter of truth, clarity, strength, and the most authentic version of your life. You deserve all of it.